Welcome to the Landscape Photography Vlogcast. Join me, Mr. Photo Ninja, and Mr. Paul Thomson Photography from YouTube. Every Sunday morning at 10 AM for everything photography related. And also look out for some special guests. Grab yourself a brew, beer, or something stronger, and let's get into this week's vlogcast. So, just for everyone out there listening and watching, or wherever you are, just can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into photography, and just give.
Of course, man. Yeah. So my photography, I suppose, started with traveling. If I hadn't traveled, I would never have got into photography. So it's been like a weird journey for me in a way, because I only got into photography about four or 5 years ago. And before that, I had pretty much no interest, like only in the sense of, getting the old phone out and taking a few snaps like anyone does on holiday and stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that was as much as I delved into photography. And then, I started traveling and I was doing that thing with the phone, getting it out, taking a few snaps. And I was traveling around Canada, and that's where it sort of kicked off. Just, it's Canada, like the landscapes are unreal.
Yeah. Have to agree.
And you've been there, haven't you? Yeah. Just incredible. And I think those landscapes just naturally inspired me to then, want to upgrade from a phone to a DSLR, if you want to call it that. And just, fell in love with the landscapes in Canada, basically. And then after that, I went to New Zealand, and that's where I upgraded my camera again, and very much fell in love with it. And that's where I started my YouTube channel and stuff like that as well. So it's always been very much the travel aspect.
Yeah.
It's quite ironic because now I'm at home. I've still mad to travel, still have the travel book and that, but I absolutely just fallen in love with the UK.
Yeah.
So it's kind of flip turned almost. It's all about the photography now and the adventures at home rather than having to go really far and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I remember, a few years ago now, I think it was when you was in New Zealand, we was talking about you getting D7200. Is that when you was in New Zealand? Getting
what? Sorry, mate.
You was on about. Did you message me? You messaged me about what the D7200 was like before you bought it. You remember that, or was that? Or
yeah. No, that's right. Sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying then. Yeah, decent. It's that southern accent, mate. yeah, D7200.
Dan South. I won't bother doing it again.
I did see that one in the last video. Yeah,
that's taking all my views are down. It's because of that accent.
Yeah, that's it, man. Exactly. Yeah. Everyone's like, "Why is he doing that? He's from down south. Only people from up north do that." Absolutely.
Maybe I should have imitated Paul. That might have got more laughs.
There you go, maybe.
I do remember messaging you, man, because I had the D30-100. That was the first DSLR, and that's the one that I actually bought in Canada when I was in Vancouver. Absolutely loved it. And then just because I bought that, I just thought, right, what's the next sort of natural upgrade? And that's when I watched your videos anyway. And I think Kim Grant at the time had that same camera.
Yeah, she has.
Does she still have it? I think she might still have it.
Yeah, she might. I think she's using a Z6 now.
I think she's got it as a loan or something. But as far as I know, she still uses it. But anyway, I messaged both of you, and amongst other things, it was like your opinions that swayed me into buying it. And I still have it now. Absolutely love it, wherever it is.
Paul, you've got one as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've still got mine. Yeah, that's why I upgraded to at the time until I went to the dark side.
We haven't really talked about camera gear yet, have we?
No, we haven't. I mean, I love my Nikon gear to bits. I mean, obviously, I've still got the 7200. I've still got all the lenses. But it was a case of when I had the opportunity to go full frame, I thought to myself, well, if I was going to go Nikon full frame, I'm going to have to get rid of all my lenses anyhow. And start again. So I thought, well, now's the time to go somewhere else if I'm going to do it. And of course,
same difference, I guess. Yeah,
because Nikon didn't have a mirrorless at that point, and I'd got right into it. I had a Sony A6000, which I used for vlogging and what have you.
Yeah,
and I fell in love with it. I just the way it worked. So that's why I went and bought the other Sony.
I think, to be fair, what you just said there is actually something that gets overlooked quite a lot with gear. How you just fall in love with a camera and you don't really know why. like maybe just the ergonomics of it, whatever it is, you don't necessarily even need a reason.
Yeah,
You literally just have it in your hands and you're like, Jesus, this is like class to shoot with. I don't really know why, but it's just something about it.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of street photographers say that actually. But yeah, I think that's a really big part of why people buy certain cameras. You hear a lot of people that shoot with Fuji like say that as well.
Yeah, it's just you just get used to it, and everything seems to flow better with it. You can find everything better, and it just I don't know what it is. It just worked for me. It either works for you or it doesn't it? It's
exactly yeah, and I think that's the bottom line of it. Yeah,
yeah.
With the Lumix when I had that on loan, it just felt really good.
You really liked it, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, I just felt whether because I'm used to that sort of crop sensor. Well, it's not an entry level crop, is it? You know, the 7200 is up there, isn't it?
I guess it's like intermediate, isn't it? By what they brand it as, like.
Yeah, but I suppose it's still a big jump from that to something like the Lumix or the A7 in R range or whatever. Yeah, so that I obviously had that in the back of my mind as well. But yeah, it just felt class. It was all metal, it's solid.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Really heavy.
It's funny people usually say the opposite, man. I love it because it's proper heavy, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. I felt like
I know what you mean. Like build quality just feels like really, really. Yeah.
Felt like I meant business before I even pushed the shutter.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
Which I'm not normally like that. I'm not normally like flash. You know, you've got to have the new gear all the time. But I tend to not spend any money for years, and then all of a sudden the floodgates come down. And I just go mental.
Go on.
Yeah,
I'm going to drop $5,000 on it.
That's what's going to happen. I can see it. It's going to have to, yeah. Because let's be honest, you're going to be up 2.5-3, aren't you? Time you buy a body, even if you go second hand, you're going to be up that high if you buy full frame lenses.
I know, man. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. So you want to. Me personally, who does tend to not spend money through the year, I want to make sure that I'm doing it right, So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I have a similar outlook, I suppose. Yeah, without realizing it. Yeah. No, I guess going back to the Nikon and stuff. I bought my Nikon D30-100 in Vancouver, like I said, and I literally, like when I bought it, I didn't know anything about cameras. All I knew was that camera. Did a bit of research online. I knew that camera would shoot in manual mode. And that's all that mattered to me at the time, because I really want to learn how to use a DSLR in manual mode.
Yeah.
And that's why I bought the D7200, just because I bought a Nikon to start with. There was no real incentive to switch brands. Whereas now that I'm a bit deeper into photography, like I could understand why people would switch brands and stuff. Even the M50, man, it's class. And going back to what we were saying about just picking a camera up and like enjoying the way it feels, yeah, there's just something about it. More in a videography sense, but that's why I could relate with that so much, and I could easily see myself using that or a similar sort of camera rather than the D7200 for sure. Maybe it's because it's mirrorless. I'm not sure.
It could be, eh? Because I don't think it really mattered at the time, but once you use a mirrorless, you kind of see the advantages of it, I think.
Yeah, that was another big thing for me with the Lumix. It was mirrorless, obviously. So that was another big jump for me. Like being able to see your exposure change live and... Oh
man, what's going on there? That's like, that's futuristic stuff to me. Even now, like
voodoo.
Dream to have a live histogram. Like, I've never had a live histogram. I just love it.
No, nor have I. Obviously, yeah, it's in camera, but
sounds like such a trivial thing. Like, well, it'd be fun to have a live histogram and helpful.
Yeah, because I don't know. Obviously, you must go through the same process as me. Is I sort of try and work out what I want using the light meter. And then take a shot, and then I'll go from there. I look at the histogram that I get from the JPEG, and then I'll make my adjustments from there, which is quite a long way around, really, in this day and age.
It is, man. But like I suppose, I don't really know anything different. So it's not really like, I don't think I'd really notice the difference until I actually got a camera that had like a live histogram. All my video cameras have had live histograms, and that's helpful, I suppose, doing video work and that. But yeah, it'd be nice, but it's definitely not like a deal breaker or anything at the minute.
No,
But
no.
it's just one of them things that when if a time comes where I have a little bit more money to spend on gear, I could say, oh yeah, I'd like to have a live histogram. But at the minute, it's not a massive deal. Like,
No. So you mentioned earlier a little bit about, you started off traveling, and that's how your love for your photography blossom. And where would you say that was in New Zealand? You said, wasn't it?
properly, yeah, that's where that's where it blossomed. Like you said, that's where that's what got quite serious in New Zealand, where I really started feeling like connections to the landscapes and stuff. Whereas Canada, beautiful as it is, and I'm sure it'd be different if I went back, it'd just be, it was just like, oh, these landscapes are beautiful, how can I photograph them? So New Zealand is when I really started getting a proper feel for the photography and stuff, which was just like amazing. Like, never had anything like that in my life. It was class.
Yeah. So is there any particular place that you would like to go to now that you've got this, this experience? Where would you love to go and try and take advantage of?
It's a good question, man. It's like a classic question as well.
But
I love the UK. Like, honestly, although that doesn't really count as an answer, I am like absolutely obsessed with this country. And there's a ridiculous amount of places that I haven't been to that I'm just so mad to go. Like, even down by you, like in the southwest. Anytime I've been to Cornwall or Devon or Dorset or anywhere down there, it's always been like family trips, which is fine. But you probably know how it is when you're just trying to fit in a little bit of photography around what you're actually there for. You can never really get stuck in. So I'd like to go on a dedicated trip. Perhaps go down and meet you, man. That'd be class.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll have to organise that.
Yeah, for sure. And then like South Wales and like Scotland, I've been to tons of times, but I don't even feel like I've scratched the surface. And abroad, Ireland, like I really want to go to Ireland, even though that's not like proper abroad. Although like tell an Irish person that, I'm sure they'd say differently. But
tell the Irish boys we had on the other week that.
Yeah, I know. United States as well, and I'd love to go back to Canada and see it in with a bit more experience, and because there's no two ways about it. That's where it all started, like Canada. That's where the seed was planted. So it'd be really cool to go back. And it was me and my girlfriend that travelled across Canada, and we went proper like east to west, like Newfoundland all the way to BC, like Vancouver, and it was just mind blowing. But yeah, I'd love to go back and do it a little bit more photography minded for sure. That would be class. But yeah, just everywhere. How about you guys? Have you got anywhere that's like proper on the list? Like,
for me, I would love to get back up. I would love to get up to Scotland, and the lakes more. Me and Paul have talked about doing workshops and that, obviously before all this COVID thing was kicking about. So I would love to start some workshops and up with Paul, and just shoot more up in the mountains, really. Although I'm living in Wiltshire now, which is sort of Bristol way, I'm only about an hour and a half from Brecon Beacons.
Oh, like across the bridge?
Yeah, I'm literally an hour and a half from Brecon now, so
that's close, man. That's good.
Yeah, so I've obviously got all that coast there as well that I can shoot.
Mega.
I'd like to do stuff. I'd like to just explore the new area that I'm in first, I think, and then we go up from there, really. But yeah, I'm enjoying shooting some woods and that now. But the woods and that have not been too good down in Cornwall where I'm from. It's all planted pines, 2 foot from each other, so it's nice to go to some proper oak woodlands. I've got a couple. Local
can't
to
beat
me. No, I find it very hard, but I think the reward's worth the heartache.
No, that's true, man. It is like, and it doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't crack on with it just because it's difficult. If anything, like that's such a good thing. Like challenging yourself, and it is hard. It's hard for most people. I find woodland like nails, but I still really enjoy it. Like I really enjoy being there. It's something I want to do a lot more.
Yeah. Do you have any local woodlands near you, or?
So I live in Morecambe, like quite near to Lancaster. So a lot of the time I'm travelling up to the lakes. It's only like 20 minutes away
Yeah.
to get to the southeast area. But yeah, there's a few, like there's an area of outstanding natural beauty called Silverdale and Armside, which is actually like half of it's in Lancashire. But yeah, around there's quality for woodlands, like you were saying, some proper oak, ancient woodlands and stuff like that. And yeah, where I am is a really good location for it. Not in like the super close vicinity, unfortunately. I'd love there to be a woods within walking distance from the gaff, like, but yeah, there's some decent stuff like 15-20 minutes drive, which I think in the UK is good going. Like,
yeah, definitely.
But you then, Paul,
I'd love to go back to Vancouver, to be honest. More of those sort of where I started exploring those ancient woodlands. I'd like to go and have a look at those. The old growth forests were absolutely stunning. Yeah, and I just found them really, really nice to shoot, as I was saying the other day there, because the trees are so spaced out and they're so massive, and the floor of the forest's just covered in mosses, and it's just really nice to shoot.
It's almost like quite tidied up naturally.
Yeah, well, it is. But it's like you go to an ancient forest here. Ancient forests here have the same sort of thing. Everything's covered in moss because it's so
exactly
old.
Like moss. Yeah.
And I suppose,
different world.
Yeah, it's just cleaner. It's a cleaner sort of area to shoot. And
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
And I guess on the same sort of vein, some of the Oregon coast, I'd like to go and visit.
Oh yeah, mad for it, absolutely mad for it. Nick Page and that is just making me like want to go there so bad. I've been there like as a tourist.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was before I was mad for photography and that, but Jesus, it looks like magical, like enchanted, and I'd love to spend a bit of time there for sure.
I've never been, but it just looks sort of the same way as those ancient forests do in Vancouver. It's got that sort of feel about it. It's
absolutely, man. Yeah.
Wilderness, I think that's it. I think that's the key to it. I just want more wilderness areas. I find that it's here, it's beautiful, absolutely stunning, but I tend to go towards the wilder areas and not so much the manicured sort of areas, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what I mean, yeah. It's naturally quieter as well, not as many people about, or even photographers and that. I
think that's why Scotland's appealing, because it's wilder. It's got a wilder feel about it. I love the lakes because they're only 40 minutes from where I live as well, only half an hour, 40 minutes, but it's just got a completely different feel about it. That Scotland is just more wild and more rugged.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know if you guys know, like Rannoch Moor, just around there. Yeah. Oh man, like it appeals to me so much, especially in the winter. Just something about that bleakness, and I don't know what the normal person, so like a non-photographer, would probably just find a bit like boring and kind of thinking, Jesus, why do you want to spend your time there? But there's just something about it that I've never really been able to put my finger on. I guess it is just the wilderness, it's, especially in the UK, it's few and far between. So I guess you appreciate it once you get it.
Well, it does, because we're used to kind of walls and fences and borders, and
exactly.
That's
sheep.
And that's the nice feel about it up there, is it's just open. It's just completely different.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I'm just gonna keep firing random questions that come into my head, if that's all right.
No worries, man. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
You mentioned Kim earlier. Do you plan on doing any sort of collaborations, like in person, or have you done any yet?
I've only ever collaborated with one person, a bloke called Ian Worth, who's like absolute quality. Like I think his subscriber count, not as if that's a way to determine how successful somebody is, ridiculous, but it just gives you an idea. It's something like around 10,000, and I think he's based down in like Northamptonshire. But yeah, he's a quality guy, and I thoroughly enjoyed my collaboration with him. I think we collaborated first time probably about 2 years ago, and then we've done 2 or 3 since, done a few wild camps together and stuff, and that was absolute class. I loved it so much, and that was actually the first time I went out even with another photographer. I guess I've always been super introverted with my photography, and from day one I've just never really enjoyed this idea of going out with other people. But now that's slowly starting to change, and I think there's a hell of a lot of value in going out with people that share the same interests. Like, of course it is. It's the same in any hobby, and like for anyone that's watching, like absolutely, if you're introverted, just give it a try at least once and just see how you feel, because I've had so much value from just going out with somebody else.
Yeah.
So chilled out. Like I'd highly recommend it. But to answer your question, like, yeah, I'd like to do a lot more going forward for sure.
Is there anyone and not to put you on the spot, but is there anyone that you would sort of dream, like a dream collaboration? And you sort of...
I'm like a massive Thomas Heaton fan, man. I love Thomas Heaton stuff. Like, he's one of the main reasons why I got into like YouTubing at first. I think he's from like Blackpool, not too far away, and yeah, like he's given me so much value and inspiration over the years. And even though he's like huge now, or not huge, but like the biggest, I'm sure he'd have something to say about that. But you know what I mean? Like he's done well for himself, basically. But yeah, I'd love to like do a collaboration with Thomas, and not even necessarily that, just go out and shoot with him. That'd be absolute quality. But yeah, apart from that, like I say, because I've been so quite like introverted, I've not really thought about it that much. I think we're all very like-minded, and we'll probably all just get on and going out with the cameras, wouldn't we? Especially us that do vlogs and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Like Adam was saying the same thing. Other than obviously the Irish boys who are very much extrovert. Adam and like Paul. I know Paul tends to go out with people as well, but I know for myself, I'm very seldom. And I think that's quite a common theme, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
absolutely.
I love going out by myself as well. Absolutely love it. But I think, I don't know, when I first started doing the vlogs, I found it actually harder being myself, weirdly enough.
When you were collaborating with somebody and vlogging, you mean?
When I first started doing the vlogs, when I was by myself trying to do a vlog, I found that harder than actually being.
That's mad. Yeah, I would have thought it would be the other way around.
Yeah, well, me too. Because I'm not necessarily an extrovert either. But it's just I found it difficult having a conversation with myself. I couldn't sort of.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
I couldn't put the camera in front of me and kind of see the camera as somebody else, if you know what I mean, like everybody tells you to.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
I found it was so much easier to have somebody there to bounce off.
That makes a lot of sense when you put it like that, man, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it came down to it.
Yeah, it is a very unnatural thing to do, just, chatting away to a piece of glass out in a field, like, it's mental. Like, you definitely need to learn. There's a bit of practice in there, isn't there? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm proper natural with it now. It doesn't bother me at all, even if people are around and stuff. But at first, I just felt like an idiot. Like, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. I there's this I just laugh thinking about it, actually. There's this little shot that I wanted to get, or I have got several times, down in Bude. It's on Bobbin Moor, and there's a fence that sort of bends around, and it leads into Routor, which is like, I think it's the second highest hill in Cornwall. And I keep going back and back and back, and you have to sort of go through this little woods, and I always go the same route because I know I can get there in a certain amount of time. And you know what it's like when you're trying to do a video and whatever. I know what I have to do to get the vlog done.
Yeah.
And if I'm pushed for an idea or a time or whatever, I used to go to there. Anyway, so I never really explored the area. I just went to that same spot. And one morning I went there. It was so quiet. There was a little bit of mist on the water. All you could hear was the ducks, and I was rabbiting away. And
as you do.
Yeah, and my voice must have travelled miles because it's obviously flat because of the lake, and it's so peaceful and quiet. And then I heard this rustle. I turned around, and there's a dirty great bird hide, and I'm a massive bird hide with 4 blokes sat in it.
Oh man!
Watching and listening everything that I've just said, and I sort of went. It was that awkward silence. We looked at each other, and I was like, "Oh, fucking hell."
Yeah, I enjoy that.
I just went like bright red, and just turned back round again, took my shot, and I fucked off. But
that's a good point, like, because it like, I don't mind when I know the people are there, but if I'm chatting away and I'm on a mountain or something, and someone comes up behind me, I'm like, it's like I've been caught doing something wrong. I'm like, no. I turn the camera off and I'm like, sorry you had to see that. Like, doing nothing wrong. I just feel stupid. Like,
That's exactly how I felt. I felt like I got caught red-handed doing something.
Well, going back to the collaborations, you've done some with Chris Sale, is that right? Have you done like YouTube collaborations?
Yeah, I've done 3 or 4 now, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy Chris's stuff as well. I like watching his journey. I think he's got like a little bit of a niche going on in what he's actually portraying on his channel. It's really cool.
It's definitely, Chris is a very clever chap. Like, but he's very business oriented. He's very sort of corporate. So he has a plan, a schedule, and he's very organised. And I think that his latest sort of series, like you said, where he's documenting his journey, it shows, doesn't it? I think this has thrown him a little bit, but not like it's thrown a lot of people. I think Chris would have quickly found a plan B that works. And his videos still, although they're different, they still feel organised, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. But I love that like you say, he's sort of business minded, but he finds a way to implement that into his videos. So it's just another way of him sort of being himself and sticking to what he knows. And that's cool like that.
Yeah, he's sticking to what he knows, and he does it really well. And his figures show that. Obviously, he's a fantastic photographer, and obviously people like him as a personality, which obviously helps. But yeah, he puts himself in the right position, which helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've done lots of workshops together as well. It's about 4 or 5 workshops now. We had lots planned.
Class.
We had
of course,
we had one in May we had to cancel, one at the end of April, and then we had a 2-day. It was 2 full days but spread over 3. Down in Boscastle, where we had accommodation, and we was going to do post processing in a conference rooms. Yeah, so we've had to bomb all that off as well.
It's a bit of a downer, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, I know I do enjoy working with Chris, and I like collaborating. Like me and Paul obviously plan on doing things. I like doing stuff like this.
Yeah, this is kind of thrown as a curveball, hasn't it? Really,
same thing really. Like, you just got to take advantage of what you put in front of you. Yeah, and it's, and we're just lucky that Paul's got some great friends, and we're quite well connected in YouTube anyway. So we're all, although we don't know each other, we do, don't we?
So true. Yeah, it's weird. Like I feel like I know using like a lot of people out there when I've never spoken to them in my lives. But in a really good way, and like you say, when this sort of thing happens, it's great that we're all connecting. I'm actually finding that so inspiring, by the way, that everybody's just connecting and doing things like this, and podcasts and live streams and Instagram lives. It's so good. And like I said earlier on, people are just using their initiative, and rather than just sitting down and thinking, oh, isn't this terrible, like they're just cracking on with it, and it's cool. I think that's one thing that I've always what's class about landscape photography is that, in a way, if you think about it, we are all competitors, but it's never felt like that from day one. Everybody just feels like friends and like associates, and it's never really felt like a competition. It's not like in a normal business where people doing the same thing you'd be competing against.
Yeah,
and that's such a good thing about landscape photography.
Well, I think YouTube especially, it pays you to be open to collaborations and stuff like that as well. Definitely,
absolutely.
It opened so many doors, I think.
Yeah, because
I agree.
We've all got our own individual. Although I dare say, people that watch my videos will watch yours, Henry, and Paul's, because they're in that same genre.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think people do tend to watch certain personalities that they like. Yeah. And when we all come together, it does open people's minds and takes people off elsewhere, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why it works, I think. So, but yeah, it's
for sure.
It's a strange concept when you think that, especially like yourself, you are a full-time photographer now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So no, this is your living, really. Well, I dare say it's a small part of your income stream, but
YouTube specifically, you mean?
Yeah. So
yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So in business terms, it is a bit of a weird way to. It's a bit of a weird model, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Really.
So,
But
on that, what is your favourite light and subject?
Light and subject.
Yeah.
Light, although it's a bit vague, I suppose, but anything around sunrise, there's something about that sunrise period that is just unbeatable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems to have positive after positive going out with your camera at sunrise, and if you get a nice bit of light, obviously there's usually more of a chance of fog or mist or whatever during sunrise, and then probably sort of side light.
Right.
You know, like if you imagine a woodland scene with a bit of side light and a bit of mist, oh God, it feels like the holy grail to me, like sunrise, fog, and side light.
Yeah.
Absolutely unreal. Subject, I like water.
Me
and I've
too.
always liked.
I'm addicted.
Yeah. Since day one in Canada, I've just always been drawn to like lakesides or being from like Cumbria as well, growing up around the Lake District. Obviously, it's natural that I was down by the lakes as a child and stuff like that, and I've always grown up by the coast. So yeah, I'm very drawn to any sort of water source, even if it's a stream or like waterfalls, any cascades, foreground elements. I'd say, even again, it's a bit vague, but that anything with water.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I gravitate to as well. Anything with water, basically. I think there's something missing when I haven't got water in a scene. In fact, even my woodland sort of shots, I look for sort of.
Just trying to find a lake in the middle of the woods. What's going on, mate?
What's going on? I need a stream.
No, it's quite versatile as well. Like shooting water, you go to the coast and it's different every time you go as well. I'm sure you know that, Tom. Like shooting down in Cornwall and that, it's brilliant. And then mountains as well. Just can't go wrong. But that's more being there rather than just the photography, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you? I noticed obviously you've done a little series on the Isle of Skye for your YouTube.
Lewis and Harris.
Sorry, yeah. How did you find going into something like that, like on your own? And did you have a plan or?
So I plan pretty much the same for every shoot, really, even if it's just something local, and it's just like a bit of a loose plan. So I literally look. So like Lewis and Harris, for example, I knew I was there for 4 days, so I just picked out like 4 locations, and that was it. But then I don't mind straying off. I think a lot of photographers do that same sort of thing. Personally, I just think it's the best way. Like it's a nice little middle point of kind of knowing what you're doing, so you're not just running around the shop and not like getting too locked onto a plan. But yeah, that was unreal. Like my dad's from Scotland. I think I've mentioned that a few times in my videos. So I have a massive like heritage connection to being in Scotland, and there's just something about it when I'm there. Same as the lakes. Lewis and Harris was another level though. Oh, like probably the best place I've ever been. Like with my camera, it was just. But again, like I'd hate for people to like hear me say that and then go there and be disappointed, because I know I have such a huge connection to it. Like there's something beyond the photography that when I'm there, it's just it's class. But endless opportunities for photography, like that island, it's unreal. Like so diverse.
I did love that series, and the thing I liked about it the most, I think, was that sounds wrong, but I obviously liked your images, but it was the passion, and it was the enthusiasm, because you're quite enthusiastic in your videos anyway. But I noticed you was really into it. So that was quite nice to see.
No, it's true. I think like one of the sort of recurring comments that I get is that people really enjoy my enthusiasm. It's just something that comes naturally. Like I'm quite excitable. Have you ever watched like Brendan Van Son? Son much. It's not like specifically landscapes, but I always find he's got quite a similar. He said it in one of his videos that his personality is quite excitable, and he just embraces that. And I find it's so easy to just say that to people. Like if anyone's watching, they might think like, oh, maybe try and start a YouTube channel and do my own vlogs. The best advice is just to try and be yourself on the camera. However, it's so hard to execute. It's so easy to just say that to somebody. But yeah, like that's just me being me, I suppose, and fortunately people like me running around like a lunatic or whatever.
Well, they definitely like you. You know, your channel, like you said, you've been doing it how many years did you say you've been taking pictures for?
I think like photography probably about 4.5.
Yeah, and how about YouTube?
About 2.5, but I wasn't consistent until only about a year ago, 18 months.
Yeah,
It's
so
good
you're
going,
obviously
that, then.
doing something right, mate. Because what sort of sub count you now?
It's about 17.5,
That's what I mean.
18,000, something
Yeah,
like
that
that.
is
Yeah.
a hell of an achievement, mate. Well done.
No, cheers. Yeah, no,
That is
it
mega.
is going well, like for sure. And yeah, I miss it. I proper miss it. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird when the lockdown. I know everyone's talking about it at the minute. People are probably sick of hearing about it, but at the same time, I think, you know, it doesn't mean that you should always just ignore it. Like, but yeah, when it first got announced, anyway, I wasn't really that bothered. Like I've said before, I'm quite introverted anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of photography, you know, I don't do a lot anyway. I don't go out and spend a lot of money and stuff. But yeah, past probably 5 or 6 days, it's really hit me. Like struggling mentally a little bit as well. Just, I guess, I didn't realize how important the mountains and going out with my camera and stuff meant to me. And I guess, ironically, I probably never would have realized it if it wasn't for this lockdown. So that's become actually a massive positive. It's really good for like my mental health and just for myself as a person. And like I don't know if you guys know Morecambe very well, but you look across the promenade, Morecambe Bay, and you can see the lake, so you see all the mountains.
Yeah.
And I live like on the promenade, so I wake up every morning. It's usually a blessing. So I'm like, oh yeah, like I love the lakes. It's my passion. It's where I'm from. It means everything to me. But now it's like, look over the bay, and I'm like, oh god, I can't go over there. Like, it's mental. I never thought this would happen in my life.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, that's for sure. Not being able to get out. That's the worst part, I think.
Like, when would you? If somebody told me that like 2 months ago, like, oh Henry, you won't be able to go to the mountains in 2 months, like, you just laugh at you. Like, oh, come on, like it's going to be another war, like.
Yeah.
But I guess I keep telling myself, you know, two things really. Like, everyone's going through something with it all going on, and there's people out there that have got it a hell of a lot worse. So just try my best to stay grateful, I suppose. Like, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, and you know, when we get all through this and that, it will be there.
Of course, mountains are still going to be there.
Yeah, it's just going to be like we said when we was talking with Adam. We talked a little bit about the environment and how it's going to sort of recovering, and it'd be interested to see how it all is when we get back, how people react, how busy the.
What do you think will happen? I very much think people will just go back to normal, even though that's like super negative. But
yeah, I'd like to think not, but I think you're right.
Wouldn't it be a class? Like, if people, one thing I've definitely noticed for sure is that people, it seems to me like people are starting to appreciate the smaller, simple things in life a little bit more. Like just going out for a walk with the children, or like here, just going out for a walk on the beach. I don't know, just something tells me people, because they've had a lot taken away from them, they're like, oh, I'll go outdoors and go for a walk by myself with my earphones in, like, and hopefully that sort of thing continues. That'd be class.
I suppose it's a classic thing. If you don't know what you got until it's gone, do you?
Yeah.
But I noticed that around here. I live in this quite sort of rolling, sort of green hills, and it's all agricultural down in the valleys. And when we've gone out for walks as a family, you can see all these people like sort of spread out, walking around like ants around the outside of the fields. And it's quite nice to see everyone out. Although, obviously, you know, we don't want everyone out congregating, but in terms of that, it's perfectly fine. Everyone's spread out and just enjoying their little bit of space that they're allowed.
Exactly. Yeah, they're only doing what they're allowed to do at the minute, anyway, aren't they? But I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah, and like what you said earlier about, you know, mental health, and I think it's so important. I think people are realising that, like you just said, how important it is just to get out in the fresh air, or, you know, the fact that people can't socialise, they take it for granted chatting to someone at the petrol station for 5 minutes. They don't take it for granted, you know what I mean? Like, like
I think my missus, for example, is like the opposite way, and she's quite social, very social person. She thrives off that, and so she's struggling a bit because she can't do that. So it's like one or the other almost. But yeah, like you say, man, the mountains are all still going to be there.
Yeah. So, sorry, mate.
That's all right. Carry on.
Did you have any big plans for this year? Any big trips planned for this year then? Other than the one
No,
that, you know.
yeah, I was very lucky with Lewis and Harris actually. I remember coming back on the ferry, and I think it was 2 days after that all them ferries got cancelled, and that was just pure luck. Like I'd had that book for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But no, apart from that one, like didn't really have any trips. I would definitely have met up with Ian Wirt, who I mentioned before, again for some sort of wild camp in the summer. Like I felt quite content, I suppose, in that I didn't really have anything. Like I mentioned earlier, I love the UK, and I'm happy just just like knocking about the UK. I've had a few trips planned down to Cornwall and places like that.
Yeah,
and definitely back up in Scotland. And until I feel a need to want to go on big trips and stuff, my passion really does lie here at the minute.
yeah.
There's plenty of places to discover still here, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just endless. Like it's just like best country in the world for photography. Like I'm so in love with it. It's amazing. So beautiful and so like diverse, ridiculously diverse as well.
Yeah, because I know, like we talked about earlier, there is a lot of boundaries and fences, and you haven't got that sort of remote feel, more everywhere like we have in Canada and places like that. But there are places like that to find. You just have to sort of get off the beaten track a bit, don't you?
The whole like remote thing as well can be, a lot of the time, for myself at least, it can just be perspective as well. Like if I'm out in sort of like in the Western Lakes, it's a hell of a lot quieter because it takes a long time to get around there from the M6, or certain places in Scotland, or just anywhere really. Like if I tell myself like, yeah, this is like wilderness, just lie to myself. I tend to like just believe it. But yeah, I think you can really tell yourself like, oh, I'm in the Lake District, it's a tourist hotspot, but I'm always out in the lakes and I never ever see people like knocking about. Like never. I think that's another benefit like about shooting at sunrise and stuff as well. It's just dead, like there's no one out.
Yeah.
No.
And it's the start of the day.
Definitely.
Yeah, start of the day as well. It's always a good time to shoot.
Exactly. It's positives, too many positives. One thing I'd like to ask about, I've always just wanted to chat about other like YouTube vloggers or photographers or whatever, is the whole Ko-fi thing.
Yeah.
What are your guys' opinions on that? Is it something you've ever spoken about already? Like,
no,
I just noticed there was a bit of a controversy around it at one stage. I was completely unaware of it, and then I sort of realised, oh god,
I think there's no controversy around it if you're doing it and you don't broadcast it. I think that's what it is. I think people just get all up on the high horses if you're posting about it everywhere, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. We were talking about it with Adam the other day, weren't we? About the fact that people just expect you to be doing everything for nothing and get.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah,
it's just a strange sort of situation to be in. It's just.
However, what I would say is that is such a mental minority of people. Like my subscribers, for example, that'd be a huge percentage who would just like support me, and they wouldn't care if I had sponsors. It's just a tiny percentage of people, and it's the same with anything in life, though. Like it's easy to just say, "Oh, don't focus on those people," but they are knocking about, and it's worse online.
That's the ones that you do focus on. That's the problem.
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's just human nature. I can have 100 like incredibly nice, supportive comments, and then just get one person that says something negative, and I'm like, Jesus, like why? I focus on that, and it's just it gets me down because I think all these people have made the effort to say something nice, and I'm focusing on this one, like, but human nature.
There's so many things I want to say. Long story short, I don't see anything wrong with it. At the end of the day, it's a choice that people are making. Your subscribers are making. You're offering a service. We're offering content to the world. And some people are going to want to support you further than just watching your videos.
That is a really important point. A lot of my subscribers, I'll speak about like on behalf of my own subscribers, they want to support what I do, but they don't want to spend 100 quid, 200 quid on a print. But to give me like 3 quid to them means so much because they might have had so much value. And I know for a fact so many of my subscribers will back me up like saying that. They're delighted to just send me 3 quid. Like,
that's exactly how I would look at it. I think the days of selling 150 limited prints for 200 quid each are gone. I think we need to move on with modern things, like, look at crowdfunding, for example. In charities are really utilizing crowdfunding, and people, for raising money. And if people want to do it, then let them do it. I don't see the big deal about it, really. I don't see why people feel like they need to.
That's a good point, actually, about saying it's just more of a modern way of people supporting. Yeah, I've never really looked at it like that.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have mentioned charity, because I don't feel like it's not charity. But I was just using
I hated when people. Why were people saying that? Like, it's not like that.
No, I shouldn't have mentioned charity. But I just, people want to support you in more than just watching your videos, and I don't see there's anything wrong with someone donating whatever they feel comfortable doing. At the end of the day, it's their choice. You're not taking advantage of them. And it is the modern way. Everyone is, firsthand. You have to have multiple income streams, and things are done slightly differently now, and you've got to move with the time. So, I don't.
Do you know what I don't get, right? If people don't want to donate, they don't have to, and that's it. The only thing I could understand is if somebody was putting it across in like a real arrogant way, or they were just I don't know, like they weren't asking in a nice way. Yeah. And it's something like I'm really glad I've done it, by the way, the Ko-fi thing. But I pondered over it for like weeks, and I was like asking my girlfriend, I don't know if I should do this. Something doesn't feel right. And I started seeing a bit of negativity, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I don't know. Hindsight's a wonderful, wonderful thing, but I'd have been so upset if I hadn't have done it just because of a couple of people.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. Like they don't have to donate.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah. For some reason it is a controversial. I think it's always going to be a controversial stuff like that. But only because it's starting to hit the scene now. I'm sure in 5 years' time,
it's new.
Everyone will be everyone will be doing it, and it'd just be integrated more than it is now. But yeah, that's how I feel. I've got a Ko-fi page. I don't advertise it, but that's mainly because I'm lazy and I haven't had the time to really sort out.
So my deal was if I take money from my subscribers, I need to some way indirectly give them something back. So in my case, it was going to Lewis and Harris, or paying for my exhibition, which they can come. Obviously, it's for me first and foremost. No denying that, but they can get some value from it, and that seems to work well. Actually, I've not had one piece of stick personally about my Ko-fi page. Not one negative comment. I've just seen it elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, I've got one as well, and I just leave the link in my YouTube videos, and I've had a couple of people sending me money. It kind of blows me away every time, because you think,
oh man,
really?
It's mad.
And you're so sort of grateful for it, that the fact that you've got people that actually want to support you.
That's so true. Yeah,
it's just awesome.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, but I think at the same time, I suppose you always need to remember that you are giving these people a lot of worth, even if you're just going out. You are inspiring people a lot. So I think there's always good to have that element of just a little bit of self-worth as well, and understand, you know what, I have to realise I am giving people a lot of value. And I think if you do want to actually make a little bit of money out of photography, that's something you've got to understand at some stage, that you do have a little bit of worth to give to people. Yeah. Or else you're just kind of like, oh, I don't deserve this money sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's a balance, I suppose, isn't it?
It's a good point. Yeah, you've got a value in yourself, and
exactly, yeah.
And the reality is, we do. And I get lots of people say to me, "Are you inspired me to get up tomorrow morning? Because you got up and you got a good picture." And
it's amazing.
And they're the sort of people that probably will donate or would want to donate to you in the future.
Yeah.
And not everyone sends me comments like that, and they're probably the people that are not, but that's fine. But So, should we finish on a quick fire?
You've got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh. All right, here we go. Now, I cocked the first question up last time, so I'm not going to do it this time. Black or white or colour?
Colour.
Hang on. Black and white or colour?
Colour.
Nikon or Canon?
Nikon.
Ooh, landscape or portrait?
Landscape.
Light or composition?
Composition.
Filters or exposure blending?
Exposure blending.
Photoshop or Lightroom?
Lightroom.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
I think you've already answered this question, but your local area or the rest of the world?
Local area. Every day of the week.
Plan or spontaneous?
Spontaneous, if you had to choose.
Woodland or landscape?
Landscape.
Intimate or big vista?
Big vista.
Ideal.
Big vista.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, it's been mint. Thank you very much. It's been great to I guess the first time I properly met you both virtually or whatever.
Yeah.
It's weird because when we was setting up this thing, it was like your name was one of the first people we wanted to get on. So yeah, I'm really glad you got on. So yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers for
cheers,
that,
and hopefully we'll sort out some collaboration in the future.
Yeah,
Superb.
ideal.
Sweet.
We'll put your name down in the links below there for anybody who wants to check it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. All the best, lads.
Thanks very
much.
much.
See you soon.
Cheers.